is one of my favorite slides. Raise your hand. Here we go again, audience participation. Down to our last 10 minutes or so. So raise your hand if you're a proud Gen Xer like me. Come on. We lived in the 80s. We rode like BMX bikes, Davis cherry Coke, chicken nuggets. It was a good time. When somebody told us to jump, we knew what to say. I need your help. Look at that. I didn't even have to count to 3. How high? That's right. We are good. I should just end my presentation now. If you are a baby boomer or of the greatest generation, I mean this sincerely, I should just thank you, because if somebody asked you to jump, you probably would have said yes ma'am or yes sir, and it's unfortunate we've gotten away from that, but hold for my point. Raise your hand if you're a millennial. I'm so proud that you guys were willing to. You're brave, but I think you guys know I'm going to praise millennials, okay? That's where we're going with this. I'm going to rattle everybody else to pay more attention to you, so give me just a second. Now, thank you millennials for raising your hand, but I don't think you'll be honest about this, so I'm going to ask if you have a child or a grandchild born between 1982 and 1999. Raise your hand. Come on. How many of you have grandkids or millennials or kids? Okay. So, millennials say the same one-word answer to every single thing you ask them. So if you ask them to jump or anything else, what are they going to say? Why? You guys are so good. Hey, my kids are Gen Z, and you know what they're going to do if you ask them to jump? They're not going to look up from their phones. They're going to send you like an emoji of somebody jumping, right? The U.S. Government Peace Corps Manual has instructions. I found this on the internet. I got to share it with you guys. It's awesome. The Peace Corps Manual has instructions for people who volunteer to work in the Amazon in case they are attacked or approached by an anaconda, which is the largest snake in the world, up to 34 or 35 feet. And this picture, you guys, you don't even know, 35 feet as long as this stage. These things are gigantic. So when you're a volunteer for the Peace Corps, and you're approached by an anaconda, here's what you're supposed to do. It's a 10-step guide. Ready? Number 1, do not run. The snake is faster than you. You can see me, it's definitely faster than me. Okay? Number 2, lie flat, your arms tight against your side, legs tight against one another. Number 3, tuck your chin. Number 4, the snake will nudge and climb over your body. This is where it starts to get really good. Okay? Number 5, this is my favorite, one of my favorites. I hate snakes. Like a little snake with like 2 snake doctors that promise me they're not poisonous, I'd still run and scream like a little baby. Okay? Number 6, the snake will begin to swallow you from the feet. Let it. It will always start from the feet. Do not panic. I underline do not panic in case you mentioned the first time. Number 7, the snake will suck your legs into its body. You must lie perfectly still, guys. Okay, remember, this is for your safety. This will take a long time. Number 8, when the snake reaches your knees, slowly reach down, take your knife and very gently slide it into the snake's mouth. Then rip upwards, severing the snake's head. Can you do that? Here are my favorite 2. Oh, go the wrong way. Be sure you have your knife. And last but not least, be sure your knife is sharp. Guys, I use this slide for a couple reasons. This is how Americans feel when it comes to health insurance. But in this room, I really started to think, I think, and I know this because I oversaw some outpatient practices back in 13 and 14, I think this is how a lot of outpatient practices have felt in recent years as hospitals flex that muscle out of fear. What's my favorite thing about becoming an author? Well, when my first book came out, I got like 4 or 5 book reviews right out of the gate, right? But this was the 5th one. If you can't see it, it's a 1-star. It's awesome. It says, advocating life. To Graves' commentary. The author misrepresents the motivating factors for most doctors and hospitals as financially motivated. Imagine if you were actually here to learn how to make more money for your practice. That was a joke. So my publisher calls me and they go, hey, you gotta take that down. I said, no way, man, you know me. I love this stuff. It's my favorite book review yet. I'll own that. Yes, was hired as the CEO of a hospital to make it as much money as possible. It's called capitalism. It's a capital C. And I work with 200 doctors, and they're in business to make money. It's capitalism. Guess what? A doctor wrote with this. Are you here? I'm just joking. Guys, I love to point this out because I said to the publisher to leave it up. It's truth. It's what the reviews are there for. But it's one of the joys of being an author is you get to find out who really doesn't like what you're sharing and wants you to quit being honest and truthful about what you've experienced. In 1998, 3 really cool things happened to me. I got married, the woman of my dreams, for 21 years this year. My brother made it to the major leagues with the Dodgers, my favorite team, so I'm still picking myself up off the ground in the last couple of weeks. But also, I achieved my career dream of working in sports marketing. So I want to picture this. Take me back to high school. I'm 17 years old. I'm sitting on the bench in my high school basketball game, watching my teammates play. I got 2 older brothers that are professional athletes at the time, right? And I'm watching from the bench going, man, I'm going to be a professional athlete. And in that moment, I'm like, maybe I should think of a backup plan. Just in case I'm not gifted in the same way as my brothers, right? And so I said, hey, I want to work in sports marketing. So I got my degree, went to grad school, got another degree. Within a year, graduating from with a master's degree, I worked for all four of the major sports organizations in some way. I did some marketing for Major League Baseball, for the NFL Players Association. I worked with the Mighty Ducks of Anaheim and PGA Tour. I was living it. I was having a great time. Then I got married, and then right after I got married, I get a call from a guy who was Mark McGuire's agent. And if you were alive in 1998, you know who Mark McGuire is because that summer, he and Sammy Sosa were both chasing this long-held home run record of 61 home runs by Roger Maris. And Mark's agent called and said, hey, I heard you guys are the best sports marketing agency in town. What do you know about baseball? And I said, well, what do you mean, what do you know about baseball? He said, well, I'm not an agent, I'm just an accountant. But I'm Mark's accountant, and he asked me to be his agent, and I don't know anything about baseball, so I need to make sure you do. And I said, hey, did you go to the Cardinals game last night at Dodger Stadium? And he said, yeah, I did. Why? And I said, well, I was there too. My brother's the right fielder for the Dodgers. And he goes, well, you guys are hired. Come on over tomorrow. You passed the test, right? So one of my favorite things about working for myself is that I can say whatever I want without getting in trouble. And I'm not joking. I hated working in corporate America, having to not speak truth, because I'm a truth teller. So I can stand up here and tell it how it is. And that is why people react the way they do to what I have to say, because I say things that few hospital executives are willing to share. So he says, okay, let's go to New York. I'll get the private jet from the owner of the Cardinals. Now, I got to fly on that private jet. Never dreamed I'd be on a private jet in my entire life, right? This is not that private jet, but this is a cool looking private jet, right? So we go to New York and we take him on the David Letterman show. You might recognize David Letterman in that picture. And Mark McGuire, and a younger version of my wife and I. That was 3 days after I got married. On the plane on the way back, after 26 hours in New York, David Letterman, Today's Show. Remember the Rosie O'Donnell show? We're on that. Time Magazine meeting. We ended up positioning him as one of the persons of the year that year. Got back on the plane, flew home. And I look at my wife, and if you've ever been, I've never been on a private jet ever again, probably won't ever be, but I look at my wife on the plane, of course, she's like this close, and I go, hey, isn't this awesome? I just married the woman of my dreams. I'm living my career dream. We're on a private jet. Don't tell anybody. You know, and I'm like, hey, but something's failed off the last couple days. I don't think I want to do sports marketing anymore. She's like, look at me. Dude, of all the things we could be talking about right now, you're saying you don't want to, did you quit your job? I'm like, no, I didn't quit my job. She goes, are you in the midlife crisis? Because you're only like 28. You're too young for that, right? And I said, no. But you know, the other day, Grandma came to our house before the wedding. She was complaining about a wheelchair. She was whining that she couldn't get her a walker approved by Medicare. I'm like, I'm just a sports student. None of this makes sense to me. Grandma worked 2 jobs. Grandpa worked 2 jobs. And just none of it feels good. So I asked my wife, I said, I want to do something that has more of a social mission. Maybe I can help there. And I just asked for her support and prayers and figuring out what that would be. And about 6 months later, I was teaching a class at the university, and one of my students came up to me and said, hey, I've heard you talk about the frustration over your grandma's care. How she goes to a nursing home, to a hospital, and you call the hospital, and the nursing home, neither of them know what the other's doing, and how frustrated you are. I've heard you say you want a career change. Why don't you come work at our nursing home? We have an opening. So I entered an administrator and trainer.